Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Millionaire Mindset Mondays live. I'm Jan Carmanico Reeves, your host, and we're here every Monday night at 6 p.m. EST. We always have interesting guests with us. Um, and myself, just before we get going, I'm on a mission to make real estate investing fun, easy, and profitable. So tonight we have Ray. Vozza. Right? Joking. So I was asking Ray how he pronounces his last name. A lot of people say um, Vozza, but he says it's actually Vozza. But if you're hardcore Italian, you say Vozza. So I said I'm a half breed, so I'll say it like that. So Ray is a real estate investor and he's also a mortgage agent. So thank you so much, Ray, for being with us tonight. And yeah, just expand on that. Tell us a little bit about your background as a real estate investor, how you got into being a mortgage agent, and what you're
For
up to
sure.
now.
For sure, Jan. Well, thank you so much for having me here, and it's a great show that you run here. I've watched it a number of times, so it's a really nice honor to be able to be here. And you nailed my last name, like
Thank you.
right, really well done.
It's got the
So yeah,
deep-seated Italian in me. Yeah,
there we go. Right, our ancestors would be proud. That's for
there.
sure. Yeah, for my story, right? It's one where it feels like an evolution, really, of all things, right? I started, investing in real estate when I was a full-time employee, and that was great and fine. I made the change to be able to go full-time as a real estate investor, and really with the goal of building a portfolio. And through that experience, as anyone else who's listening here tonight, they know and they understand, right? Is that there's two things that happen when you want to be able to grow. You have to be able to learn to raise capital. Is one of the items that you have to be able to do because there is no money tree, unfortunately. And the other thing is you have to be able to qualify for mortgages. And I was able to do both of those things. And we went from a residential space to getting into small to mid-sized multifamily properties and learning the difference was between residential financing and then commercial financing for multifamily. Throughout that journey of acquiring properties and renovating them and refinancing them, we did some private mortgages, so we learned a little bit about that side. We did construction financing. We did VTBs. We did bridges. We did lots of different things, ultimately getting them into, yeah, it felt like that was the way, right? It was like tick, 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 right? Like what
Mhm.
else, what other kind of mortgages and borrowing can you do here? But ultimately getting our properties into the MLI Select program. And at that point in time, it was last year where we'd gotten two of our properties done and in, and there was that policy delay that everyone kind of knows. There was that big hiccup in CMHC. They just kind of changed the rules, and everyone was sitting and waiting. And we finally got back into the line, and we were like, okay, now it's done. And then I just thought to myself, what's the next step, right? I've been acquiring properties and renovating them and doing all that kind of work. And I wanted to be able to continue to, be in real estate, but I didn't really want to acquire anything more at this point in time. I was kind of like, it's been, it's been a stressful couple of years as a real estate investor. It's not been the easiest times, that's for sure. And I started to think about, what else could I do? And I'd had a great conversation with my broker, and I started to pick his brain a little bit on the whole process of it, and it really started to appeal to me. So I came home, it was right before Christmas, and I said to my wife, I said, you know what, I'm going to go out and get my mortgage license, honey, and that's what I'm going to focus on for the next while, and I'm going to build that business. So that's a little bit of like the short version in terms of like, how did I go from, full-time employee to real estate investor to now mortgage agent?
Nice, nice, very good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's a common thing that people run into. They want to be a full-time real estate investor, and they don't realize that they need that T4 income, right? To yeah, yeah. Everybody wants to quit their day job, right? And that's a big mistake that people do. Do you see that happen a lot?
I can say now, right, from now being on the side where dealing with the lenders and understanding a lot of what their needs are. I was having this conversation last week with someone, and they were saying, I've got a refinance coming up, although it was long out. It was like a year from now, and they're like, I just want to be able to see like what can I do to be able to get myself in the best position. And I said, the lenders and the banks, they love the T4. Like for them, that is gold, right?
Mhm.
So I would say for, all of those aspiring real estate investors out there, continue to keep that day job while you're building that portfolio. You can make the leap, you can make the move. It's not to say that it can't be done, but it does add more stress in terms of, if you want to stay in the residential space, it's going to make things harder for you. And the job in itself, right, of being an entrepreneur and a real estate investor is challenging enough. So, sometimes when you can take away these additional stresses that you didn't really, see for coming, it can make things a little bit easier for yourself. And I think part of success, you want to be able to make it repeatable, right, scalable, and you want to be able to make it predictable. And when you can remove some of these additional barriers that you may put up for yourself, it can definitely help you in terms of your success chances. So yeah, I mean, it's not the end all and be all, right? I don't want to say like, being an employee guarantees you because at a certain point in time, the lenders will also cap you and they'll say, you know what, your ratios now are as high as we can go. So you've gotten all the mortgages you can, right? And that's where a lot of the times people will decide to go, okay, you know what, I've been doing duplexes and triplexes. Maybe now I'll get into like a 6 unit or an 8 unit or a 10 unit. And that's where it starts, in my opinion, that's where the game starts to shift and becomes a lot more fun.
Absolutely, I agree. And if anybody follows me at all, they'll know that I've been self-employed all my life. I haven't had T4 income, so I know all the challenges of trying to get financing without a T4 income. So yeah, don't quit your day job. Is that right? What they say.
Sorry about that. My son's just at the office door. He wanted to be able to come in and I was waving him off there. So
Oh,
I'm
well,
just
that's okay. That's okay. Does he want to join the call?
something like that, right? Probably
Yeah.
probably tell me about what just happened on the TV show. So
Yeah, 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 yeah. Anyways, yes, it is quite a challenge without a T4 income, and that's kind of where I've got my creativity going. But for sure, I always see people, with these, golden handcuff jobs. I think don't quit because, especially for single family, anything under 5 units, right, where you have to personally qualify, it is really important to get going and with
It,
T4
it
income.
it's really important, and it's not to say that it's like
Mhm.
it's the end all and be all, right? And from your experience, Jan, you would know, right? As self-employed individual, you're going to provide, your notice of assessments, you're going to provide your tax returns, you're going to provide your T1s. Like these are all valid sources of income that a lender will take a look at, and they're going to be able to really validate. Everyone's a little bit different, although generally they're going to work in the same kind of fashion. So it's not to say that it can't be done, and I'm not trying to come on here and
And
say has to
yeah,
keep her day job by any means. But I know that there are aspirations out there, people that want to be able to say, I want to do it too. Like I want to be able to leave the day job and go into it full time. Get that portfolio, get that portfolio up and running, right? Max out those loans that you can get while you're in the employee, position. You know, get that experience of managing those properties, get that cash flow happening, get those couple of years under the belt is, now that I'm a little bit more, experienced, right? And experience brings wisdom through the whole thing. If I was to go back to myself, I would say, make a couple of different moves along the way, right? Like take a little bit of the stress out of it in some ways and make things a little easier for yourself, right? So I would say like get a stabilized portfolio and then you can make some decisions, right? If you want to, like I said, manage them, if you want to grow them, if you want to be able to continue to go and scale up. And then, you're so good with the creative financing, Jan. Like there's so many other ways other than just a standard mortgage to get the job done too, right? Like there's lots of ways out there. So
there are. And maybe 15, 20 years ago, I could get a mortgage from an A lender. I not no more. Now, now I have to deal with B lenders, right? So I still have two in my personal name. and they're B lenders. I have a good track record with them and get decent rates, but it's still more expensive. I'm not going to lie,
Yep.
B lenders
Yep.
are more expensive than um, but like I say, that's the cost of doing business, right? If I didn't have that, then I wouldn't be able to get where I am, and I wouldn't be able to get into the multifamily space and have the buildings qualify instead of just myself. So,
Well, as you say, it's the cost of doing business, right? And, some people kind of hear the term B lenders and they're like, A's must be the best, B's must be secondary, and so on and so forth. It's not really that they're, a lesser of a lender, right? They're just looking at different criteria than really,
right.
your A's that are out there. And when we say A's, I mean, we're talking about the big five banks. That's really generally who we're referring to. Manulife would follow in that category as well. Some other lenders in the mix there, but the B lenders are going to look for self-employed people, people that are, maybe it's a high net worth that you've got, right? Maybe it is other properties that you're using. So it's not to say that they're not there to serve a purpose. They serve a great purpose in the marketplace out there. There's no
Hmm.
doubt about it. And if it works and it allows you to acquire that next property, right? And the property is now on the cash flow positive side, and sure, maybe you're paying a little bit more on the rate, but if the numbers are working out, then the numbers are working out. And that means one more asset that's continuing to, have all the mechanics, the mortgage pay down, the appreciation, cash flow is happening, all of these things are happening, right? And as we know, like it's a long game, right? Real estate, you build wealth over a period of time. It's, yeah, you can make money and get rich, but if you want to be wealthy, right, you got to kind of put yourself into that I'm going to be in this for the next, more than just 5 years, right? You want to be looking down the road and saying like, yeah, when I'm at this age, I'll have a great portfolio, and here's what it's been able to do for me.
And to use those assets to when you refinance, not to take that money out, but to reinvest it in something else, right? Like that's really how you grow your portfolio and your net worth and create that generational wealth. It's not like, okay, great. And like I got, big chunk of money coming from that place on the refi. But if you use that to buy something else, then that's where you really get wealthy.
Now you're just compounding it, right? So I
Hmm.
mean, yeah, it would be great to be able to go out and buy a boat and a trailer and everything else, that goes with it kind of thing. And, like, hey, if that's what you want to do with your money, then, that's what you want to do with your money. Like everyone's got their own goals out there, right? And but if you can take that refinance money out and plunk it into a next property and continue to make that work for you, that's now you're really kind of building an empire, right? And as you said, it's generational wealth. It's not just like, hey, it's for my retirement fund. You're going to be able to pass that down, right? And the next generation, it's all gonna be beneficial.
Hmm. Absolutely. Five good assets, refi every year, and you're and you're golden, right?
Well, and that's the other thing too. It's the cadence, right? It is the
Hmm.
cadence. What's interesting though, like on that idea, it seems so simple on paper, right? Which is like every 5 years, right? Or 5 years, and then year one, great. Year two, year three, year four, year five. So you're acquiring one property every single year. But what I don't think is always presented in kind of the front end of that logic is that when it comes up to refinance, you may not want to do a full equity takeout, right? The
True.
rates are going to fluctuate, right? They are going
True.
to change.
Yeah.
So what are we seeing now? We're seeing a lot of people that are in the rate shock, right? Where they're like, great, I got a mortgage 5 years ago. I'm sub 2%. Now it's coming up for renewal. And, I'm in maybe 4.5%. Like that's a double payment. All of a sudden it's what's happening, right? So
Hmm.
in that, the strategy of one every year for 5 years is a great strategy. Don't get me wrong, but it
Hmm.
doesn't mean necessarily that every time that 5 year term comes up that you're going
Right.
to want to. But you have the option to, right? You can say,
Correct.
I'm not going to pull any equity, keep it going at this point in time, or maybe you do, and you go out and you buy another property, right? So it's those external factors that we can't control as investors, right? We can't control the rates. That just happens. We can't always control the market if it's going to be hot or it's going to be cool or if it's a buyer's or a seller's market. Like those things are really out of our hands, but we can continue to make our plans and execute against them.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You're right. We can't control, and you can't say automatically that you're going to take a big chunk out. In the multifamily space, it's more likely that you'll be able to take out some than
Right.
a single family, right? The single family is fluctuate more in the market, and the interest rates are a little bit higher. But yeah. Anyways, that's a strategy. You can't pull out a big chunk of equity if it's not going to cash flow anymore. Then you're going to be
Well,
using that to support the building, right?
that's the
Doesn't
other
make
thing
sense.
too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, and you're so right there, Jan. You look at like the asset classes in the residential side versus the multifamily. And I'm a multifamily, owner. That's what I have now. I don't have any more in the residential other than my personal home, right? But otherwise it's multifamily. And, the rule there is that you're really looking at your net operating income, which I'm sure that many of the listeners here know about, right? It's like, what does the building generate, versus your expenses, right? And then you get your debt service coverage ratio. And those are the numbers that the lenders really want to be able to hone in on. I have conversations where some people think it's all about cap rate. Cap rate's a great indicator, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to deliver that debt service ratio that the lender really wants to be able to see.
Hmm.
So, when I started, it was like a 1.1. They were like, "Hey, get us a debt service ratio of a 1.1. We're good to go." Now it's a little bit, the needle has moved, right? They're like at a 1.2, 1.25, even a 1.3, depending on where it is, location wise. Like if you're in a smaller market, they want to see a better coverage ratio. Proximity, number of things that are going on right there. So it does change from time to time. There's no doubt about it, right? But in terms of those mechanics, you're right. It's much more of a predictable asset class where you know that, hey, this is happening. The value is going up. Potential, which is, what did that home sell for? Therefore, my home is, comparable to that.
Right. And having a multi-unit, I think you can increase the value of the building, and the value of the building is based on the net operating income. But the more tenants you have, with tenant turnovers, you can increase rents and such. Whereas with a single family, it is what's the comparables, right? Like what did the other homes in the area sell for? Not so much the income that it creates. So your hands are tied a little bit more that way.
No doubt, no doubt. And I mean, we'll just take
Mhm.
a moment here to like pause and celebrate, the win in Ontario recently with Bill 60. And I was at a function last week where it was really well explained. Yes, the bill has been passed, but it still needs to be, I think it's called royal assent, is what it is. So it still needs to go to royal assent for like all the little bits and pieces to be finally validated, right? So let's just hold our breath here in Ontario. But it has made things a little bit better in terms of some of the laws that needed to be changed. And to your point, right? Yeah, when a tenant moves out, you can relist that unit, right? You can, let's say they were paying below market rents. Well, you can do some fix ups on it. You can re-rent it at a better rate. At the same time, I've seen in the last year, right, some of my units where we were getting better rents and the market has softened ever so slightly. So you're like, okay, you have to adjust down a little bit to be able to keep your occupancy as high as you can and keep that vacancy low, right? So maybe it's the difference of, a $50 shift where you were charging 1,900 and now you're at 1,850, or maybe it
Mhm.
was 1,850 and you're down to 1,800 kind of thing. So there is always these little kind of like blips, right? But it's the
Yeah,
little blips that just as it keeps on going in this direction, that's the micro changes that happen. But over the long term time, it's going to continue to do this, right? And stability of rentals is, I think, more important now than it ever has been in the past. People need good rental options out there. They need to be able to have them because affordability is really, really high and cost of living is really, really high.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, good point.
Here I am doom and glooming. I'm doom and glooming all over. Everything costs too much. It's so expensive out there, right?
No, it's not doom and gloom. It's reality, right?
Yeah.
But yes, yeah, Bill 60 was a big win for Ontario. There hasn't been a lot of changes in a long time, and several groups fighting for some changes, and it's, a baby step in the right direction, right? Like it has been a very tenant friendly um province for quite some time. So it's good to see a little bit more of a balance, right? Because investors often don't want to invest in Ontario because of the landlord tenant rules.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, like either this is going to go like blow up and go hugely viral. I did a TikTok, and it was like a 9-minute rant, and I was like so surprised at the amount of people that commented. I thought I'd get a lot more backlash because I was just telling a story of a tenant, and I won't go through the whole detail. But why has there been these problems? I think because the laws allowed it. It's not because people are inherently bad. Yes, some people are going to want to skate the system, all that sort of stuff. But when you have a system that allows for, hey, you've signed a lease and now it's rent, month number two, and you're basically like, go pound sand, Mr. Landlord, like I'm not paying you rent, and I know that it's going to take at least a year to get a filing date. Now your hands are totally tied, right? You're totally tied. And I had one of those tenants where they came in, they saw everything was great application, great credit, great, job, everything was good, rent or month number two. And the tenant basically said, nope, not paying you. And go ahead and take me to the landlord tenant board. It's going to take you a year. And by the time that happens, I'll be gone. And it was like,
Mm.
what are you going to do? So many like this, right? And then people watching this. So where have investors gone, right? You've gone out to Alberta, right? You know what I mean? Where you're like, great, it's all oil and low taxes, and like economy is booming. You've gone to Nova Scotia, you've gone to New Brunswick, because these are the provinces that have some balance. Ontario needed to get some balance back, and it's a step in the right direction. It's not a full solve, but honestly, like if you put together a system where it allows you to just not pay, people are going to do that. And they're going to think that it's legal, right? Because otherwise, wouldn't the law step in and like change that? Wouldn't they say like, sorry, you actually have to like pay your rent every single month? Like, what a strange concept, right? Like, totally, totally out there.
Absolutely. And the thing is that it's hurting the good tenants, right? Because then it increases rent because landlords have to allow for tenants who aren't paying. So it just ruins the whole system. And that seems to be, with a lot of things, one bad apple and they ruin it for everybody, right?
Yeah, I agree. And I think there's a lot of people that have been reluctant to be able to rent out units. Um, no landlord wants to have vacancies. Like they're in it to be able to have their units rented. That's rule number one. Why did you buy a rental property? Well, because I
Hmm.
wanted to be able to rent it out. You didn't buy a rental property to be able to keep it vacant, right? You didn't, buy it to be able to say, well, I can't rent it out and every single month is doing nothing for me. You want to be able to see that property used. You want to be able to like it's a business like anything else out there. And I know a lot that idea ruffles feathers with people because they're like, well, it's housing. Okay, that's cool. If you want that, then get the government to step up. These are private individuals putting out their own private risk, their own private money, and it's private property. So at the end of the day, they've taken all of this front end risk, and they continue to take the risk throughout the whole term, and they want to be able to see a return. And we live in a country that allows us to be able to actually make profits. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not a dirty word. So you have every right to be able to do that as a landlord, to be able to like say, hey, here it is. But there's so many people that I've spoken to, and they've just said, I have a basement apartment and I'm never going to rent that out because of all the problems. Like, I don't want to be the next story. I don't want to be the next victim out there. I know that I couldn't, get any kind of resolution at the landlord tenant board. And it's so unfortunate. I think this move is actually going to be able to hopefully do two things: bring investors back to Ontario where they can look at it again and say, okay, it's starting to move in the right direction. And then for those units that are sitting vacant right now, that people will be able to say, you know what? All right, it's no longer 14 days, it's 7 days, that I can go after it. And, there's other changes that I think are really appealing with the Bill 60. Like you can't bring last minute information in, to be able to say, oh, well, this is a problem, this is a problem, this is a problem, right?
To delay it. Yeah.
Yeah, the delays, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it's taken away a lot of that ability for the adjudicators just to be able to have this much latitude, and it's giving them this much latitude, which is like, here's the rules, we need to follow them, this is what's going to happen. And I hope that we see more development in Ontario. I hope that we see more opportunities in Ontario, and I hope we see more rentals, and ultimately the good tenants are treated well. Like they're gold in my books. Good tenants are gold. I love them to death. Like they rent every single month. They're conscientious about the property. They keep it in great shape. You guys are top of my list every single month, right? So this idea of you're just going to like evict the good tenants and everyone's going to be out on the street, it doesn't make any sense. It's just fear mongering.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Nobody's going to evict good tenants. And I mean, evicting bad tenants because they're not paying rent. Well, yeah, right? Hello, right? You don't get to, yeah, I don't know, you don't get to go to work and sit all day and do nothing and still get paid. Like it doesn't work like that. That's not how the world works. You don't get to live somewhere and not have to pay. Like,
100%, right? You
yeah,
don't pay your property taxes, the city takes the property from you. You don't pay your
right?
mortgage bills, the bank takes the property from you, right? But as a tenant, right, there's been this, and maybe it really started in COVID at the time, right? Which was like, well, just stop paying because there's nothing they can do, right? And it's like, well, hold on a second. Like, just, it's like it's sooner or later that's going to catch up to you, and that's not going to be a good scenario. So,
Right, right. Well, and I love too now that you can actually report tenants who pay their rent on time,
hmm
and that can affect their credit, right? Like that can be a positive impact on their credit. And I think that's a wonderful thing to yeah, encourage them to reward them, I guess, for paying on time every month.
I totally agree, right? And I mean, some tenants, it's a stepping stone where they're renting now and they're going to want to move into an ownership position. Some people don't want to be in an ownership position. They don't want that for various reasons, and that's fine. But either way, being able to report that to the credit bureau is positive. Like at the end of the day, if it helps your score go up and it shows that, you're really viable, even for the tenant that doesn't want to move into an ownership position, they might want to go out and, finance a vehicle, right? Well,
Exactly.
guess what? That shows up on your credit score, and you're like, oh, well, I can see every single month you pay your bills, you pay your rent, everything's looking good here. So, and to your point earlier, it benefits the relationship, right? It benefits the relationship of, hey, I'm the property owner, you're the tenant. This has got to be a win-win, right? It can't just be one-sided out there. So I'm pleased about some of the things that are going on. Still more work to be done, right? But it's
Yep, but it's a step in the right direction. I think that
100%.
that's the key thing. And for tenants, I mean, that's a big chunk of their income every month going towards a payment, and it should be reported on their credit, right? And
100%.
and they
100%. I mean,
yeah,
it makes a big difference, right? Biggest cost of living these days are housing and food, right? Those are the things that most Canadians are looking at on a regular basis, right? And saying like, hey, here's what I've got to be able to, make it work this month, right? And then you've got everything else in there. You heat, utility, gases, insurance, clothing, yada yada yada. Of course you got to pay Netflix every single month and and the cell phone bill, right? But those are the biggest costs that Canadians are looking at these days, right? And for some folks, it's getting harder and harder. So yeah, they should be rewarded when they're working hard and paying these things.
absolutely. I agree. Yeah, so those were a couple of the really big things is the 7 days and not being able to at the last minute jump in and say, oh, wait, no, no, we have to delay because this is blah blah blah. Right? And so yeah, really big.
Yep.
Yeah. And then for owners to move into their own unit as well, that was another big win.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, that they don't have to pay just 120 days notice, I believe it's.
120 days, right? So
Yeah,
previously, if you gave less than 120 days, you had to be able to provide 1 month's worth of rent, right? If you want to do that still, you have to provide that 1 month. But if you're giving
right.
that 120 days, there it is. So let's just take a scenario, right? Maybe you live in a home and you decide to rent out the basement. And now it's come to the end of that period of time where maybe it's been a 5-year rental period, and you're like, okay, I could really use the basement for my own personal needs for whatever reason. Previously, the way that the laws were structured is that you couldn't take back that portion of your property. And when you really think about that, it's kind of insane that that's the way that it was operating. It's like when
Mm,
you own it, it's your property. Someone is renting from you, and now there's a just to say a shift, right? Where you're going to need that space back. You're not looking to say, I'm going to kick you out because I'm going to re-rent it and, double the rents kind of thing. You're simply saying, I need the space back. Like life changes, right? Things happen throughout a period of time. And to think as an owner, you couldn't go to your tenant and say, here's the scenario. Like this gives you 4 months to be able to go ahead and look around. I'll even work with you. Maybe as a landlord, you'll be flexible and say, maybe they come back and say, I need 5 months to be able to find a place. Okay, great. I'll give you some extra time, no problem.
Mhm.
But now what you own is actually what you own. It's not just like, hey, because you decided to rent it out for a period of time, you're stuck for forever and a day. It's like finally some common sense.
Right.
Even this conversation, it feels weird to be able to say these things because it's like, shouldn't have it always been that way? Like
Right.
why would you ever jump into this if it was any other way than the way it is now? But with that all being said, I'm still a big believer in Ontario, right? Ontario is still, one of the economic drivers of our country overall. We still got, great industry that's going on here in Ontario. There was recently just a story of a big plant that's going out in the St. Thomas area, for manufacturing out there. So there's lots of opportunity. There's no doubt about it, right? It may not be in the big cities like GT, in Toronto, but if you look beyond, right, and you find, good pockets that are strong with good.
Windsor. Windsor's a fabulous place to invest. The
Wave the Windsor flag. Wave the
Hey,
flag.
hey. Yeah, Stellantis just announced they're hiring a third shift, 1,400 people. The Amazon hub that's up in the hospital, the Gordie Howe Bridge that's opening. Like there's a ton of good stuff going on here. And the battery plants, yeah. So and the price point in the Windsor area is like compared to other centers of the same size, it's still very reasonable. And the
I
rents
agree
are
with you
decent,
there.
right?
And the
So,
rents are decent,
and the
right?
rents are
So
decent. So, yeah, you can make the numbers work. So, if anybody wants to know about Windsor, reach out to me. There's still opportunities here for sure.
what do you like in terms of the asset class in Windsor? What do you see these days as the ones that are really the best ones to go after?
Um, Depends. Depends.
Yeah, depends on your goals, right? Depends on
Yeah,
what you
yeah,
really
it
trying to
depends on
achieve.
yeah, and depends on who's selling them. I find when you're looking at multis in Windsor, say, I don't know, 15 to 20-ish units. A lot of them are owned by non-investors that bought them 30 years ago. They have no mortgage on them.
Yeah,
So they so they haven't increased their rents because there was no need for them to keep up with the rising costs of things.
yeah.
But they see the building down the street that's 20 units sold, for 4 million, and they want the same for theirs, but they don't understand yeah, the net operating income values the building. So that's a bit of a challenge. There's a lot of that in Windsor.
And
So
and those are like your typical mom and pop owners, right? Your mom and
exactly,
pop owners that probably
exactly.
bought, 35, 40 years ago and they self-managed it, they ran it. It's in decent shape overall.
We've
You
got
know,
tenants that have been in there for 25 years.
yep,
Yeah,
yep,
paying
right. And
$400 for no, $900 for a three-bedroom or something, crazy like that. And yeah.
yeah, I was down in the Windsor market looking at properties, and two things really struck me, right? Which is, not being in that area, I don't get down there a lot, but the layout of the city is really great, right? Like, the downtown area, it's really clean, it's really nice. There's that beautiful kind of pathway, that walkway that wraps around, right? And then you can look over, across the water, and then you see Detroit kind of thing. So I always like, being by the water. It's a nice feeling to be able to live in that kind of environment. The other thing that really struck me about it was there's large multifamilies down there.
Mhm.
It's not, yeah, you talked about 15 to 20 unit size, but there's, ones that are like 50 units,
Oh,
right? 60
absolutely.
units. Like
Yeah.
there's some really big, big, big buildings that are down there
Hmm.
as well. So, I think it makes sense for a lot of different investors. Plus, you've got the university down there, right? So if you want to live
College.
student
Yeah.
housing, There's lots of
Yeah,
opportunities, right? And Windsor is a market that is of a good size where lenders are willing to be able to play, right? Some lenders, they'll look at markets and they'll say, anything less than 50,000, like it doesn't matter. You could bring us, a building that's got a beautiful cap rate, it's cash flowing like a stuck pig, but if it's less than, than our population count, we're not going to play,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So it does make a difference. There's no doubt about it, and that's the fun things that I get to learn now. I get to learn
right.
all these little subtle nuances, right? In terms of like, hey, this lender's got this policy. This lender really likes this kind of properties. These lenders are big on these ones, and now you can just really work with your clients in terms of being able to say, okay, what is it that you want, right? What is it you're going after, especially for investors, because they usually got they're pretty focused, right? It's not just like, oh, well, we're going to go buy something we like. It's like, no, here's the kind of property we want to get. Here's what we're looking to achieve. Maybe it's a buy and hold. Maybe it's a renovation. Maybe it's an add density play where it's like, okay, I can put a basement suite in, or, I can put a laneway in, whatever it might be. But they've got a focused goal. And now it's just really about, okay, here's where it is. Let's collect all your information, right? So it's, everything but the DNA is what I used to say, right? But collect all your information, fantastic. And now let's really go ahead and play. It's not, play the matching game, but it's finding you the best solution, which is like, great. Here are two or three lenders that really match up with what you want to be able to achieve out there. And, here's what the rates look like. Here's what the terms look like. Not only that, but it's also the fine print too, right? It's like, can you do a pay down on an annual basis? Like, do they allow for a 10% pay down, a 15% pay down, a 20% pay down? What's the
The
strategy?
penalty. Yeah,
What's the
yeah.
penalty,
Early
right?
payout penalty. Yeah.
Early payout penalty, right?
Mhm.
So all of these sorts of things. So now it's that difference, right? Of being able to see all of that and really putting that all together. And I'm enjoying it way more than I thought that I would, right? It's professionally really fulfilling to be able to like work with people, help investors understand what their mindset is. They want to grow, they want to scale. At the same time, I can offer my inputs in terms of like, hey, did you see this about the property that you may not have noticed? Or, I was looking at the listing and I was kind of wondering about this. And it's giving those inputs where it took me 5 years to learn all this stuff. And a lot of it was experience, right? And it's like, oh, okay, like how do you spot a faulty roof? How do you know about, what's going on underneath the ground? What about, plumbing issues? Like all of these things that, when you're excited to get started, you kind of, you know about them, but you don't really know about them because no one's come and hit you with like a $50,000 bill that you weren't expecting. And
Right.
you're like, oh, geez, I learned a lesson. So
A big one. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think that's the beauty of our community too, right? Is having um lawyers and accountants and mortgage brokers and property managers that are all real estate investors because they understand what makes a property work and what things that you have to look out for. So if they are yeah, experienced real estate investors themselves, they're your go-tos, right? They get it.
I think so, right? There's that old adage of, you don't want to go to the bald barber for a haircut. I think it's very much the same way when you're working with people as you're kind of building your portfolio and you're getting started. Work with people that understand it. Work with people that, also have some skin in the game. They have a property, so they understand some of the challenges that happen. There's always going to be challenges. There's no doubt about it. And that's part of the game about being a real estate investor, which is learning how to overcome the challenges, keep yourself moving forward. You got to be nimble, right? You got to be nimble. You got to be able to, react. Market shifts are going to happen. Lender changes, lender policies are going to change. The Bank of Canada is going to do this, and then, Mr. Orange down in the United States, he's going to do that, and then all of a sudden everything goes like hooey, and you're like, what
CMH,
happened?
yeah. CMHC is going to change the rules,
Yeah.
and when you're just about to submit, and yeah, there's all kinds of things that go on. And I think another big part of that is your network, right? Like
Mhm.
belonging to communities like this and being able to learn from other people's mistakes or other people's experiences and being able to reach out to somebody. with a challenge, or maybe not even a challenge. I'm thinking of doing this. What would you, recommend? What would you troubleshoot? What would you look out for? That kind of thing, right? So I think all of that.
Makes a huge difference, right? When you can surround yourself with like-minded individuals that are able to support you and not only support you, but provide you. I mean, everyone loves a cheerleader, don't get me wrong, but it's the person that can help you with the solution that is really the one that helps you overcome that obstacle and that challenge. And it's the classic book of who and not how, right?
Hmm.
You don't always need to know the hows, but sometimes it's more important to know the who's out there. Who can help
Absolutely.
me get this done? Who can help me, find the resources that I need? Who's the person that knows the answer to the question out there? We all learn the hows as we go about doing it, but it's a time difference, right? If you can find the who's and work your way through the hows, I think that's probably a big part of the winning strategy out there.
Well, and I love that book. I just love it. But part of the who, not how theory is find the people to do the hows who are really, really good at it. So, like, don't waste the time in your day banging your head against the wall trying to learn that or trying to, there's things that we can do, but we don't find joy in them or they don't fill our cup, right? So hand that off to somebody who loves to do that and who's really good at it and has lots of experience, and um, let them run with it. And that's part of it too, right? Is delegating, I guess, and getting systems in place that and your team.
I 100% agree with you there. I think it's huge, and I don't know about you, but I mean, one of the who's that I've really been leaning into in the past 6 months, and I'm sure everyone else is doing the exact same thing, is the AI world, right? It's being able to tap into Chat GPT, and then the different resources that go with it, right? If it's Canva, today I was just introduced to two new ones. Gamma is one that came up in terms of being able to do like slide decks and pitch decks
Okay.
really, really effectively. And I really liked that one. I was like, okay. And then there was another one, Lovable Dev. Which is great for landing pages, right? So those were two that on a morning call that were introduced to me. And then this afternoon, I was on a call and another one got introduced to me. And, you know, I know there's a lot of like worry out there about AI is going to take away jobs and that sort of stuff, right? I mean, until we get that part of the movie in the Terminator, right, where Skynet becomes like fully self-aware, I think we're okay. I think, but man, in terms of what it can do now, and plop in your query, and here's the scenario, here's what I'm dealing with, I'm looking for some solutions. The speed that it gets you and how fast you can move, it's just
Crazy.
it's yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy, right? It's like, man, this is the biggest technological like evolution. You know, our generation was, we absorbed the technology as it kind of came along, right? The kids now, they're born into the tech, right? So they're just like, for them, it's like what they know all the time. But this change and this shift right now, it's moving so fast. There's so much more that's happening that I've never ever seen this stuff before. Which is fun and scary and worrisome, and then like it's blurring the lines. Like I can say in our business, one of the things that has really been ingrained upon me this year, even where I had to do it two times over, is anti-money laundering, right? And the whole document forging, right? And with
Right,
AI
right.
being more sophisticated, it's becoming so much more. As mortgage agents and brokers, we have to spend a tremendous amount of discipline to make sure that all the documentation we're getting is 100% legit. And everything is electronic now. So you have to be
Right.
even more, diligent in the process of saying, like, is it all matching up? And you've got to go through all of the details. So, where I'm sure there'll be solutions to that, there's always the people that are trying to skirt the system, right? So yeah, it's presenting some interesting
Yeah,
challenges.
I
That's for
bet.
sure.
I bet. But I use it, I don't even know how many times a day. Writing an email, I use the microphone. Okay, I want to write an email to so and so and so and so, and I'm gonna blah 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 blah, and it's like spits it out, and I proof it, and might change a couple of things, but to sit down and use um sometimes you get writer's block or something, and you want to use the right words, or you want to, sometimes you're responding to somebody and maybe your tone isn't quite as professional as it should be. You want to, okay. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's great for things like that. I use it. Okay. I want to create an Excel sheet and I want it to do this and this and this and this and this, and boom, it creates it. PowerPoint presentations, like it's insane. It's
Yeah.
insane what it'll do. Yeah.
If you're looking for the PowerPoint, try out the Gamma, right? It's
Gamma.
I
Okay.
was I was on a call this morning and a colleague was talking about it, and they given a presentation. They're like, I just got this done in 15 minutes because I hopped on
Yeah.
and told ChatGPT what I wanted, and then told, to have Gamma produce the whole thing, and it was out the door done. And we're still the thought leaders here, right? We're still the people that are giving the instructions and the needs and the details, right? So it's like we're not obsolete, right? We're not out of the game
Yeah,
yet
well,
by
it
any
can't do
means, right?
anything without our prompts,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah,
we have to tell it what to do. So
yeah.
you
Knock
told,
on wood. Knock.
yeah, yeah, so far, right? But yeah, it's scary how it gets to know you, right? It's like- Speaking of cheerleaders, I tracked my macros in it. Oh, great day, Jan. You got all that protein in first thing in the morning. You're off to a great start. It's
I spent
amazing.
time last week where I just went through optimizing my schedule and my time,
Yeah,
right? I just wanted to be able to take a look at it and saying like, I want to be a little more effective in some of my days and my approach. And, we can all have these times where we just kind of feel like we're really in sync, but then sometimes we feel like we're not getting as much traction throughout the day as we truly wanted to. Like, what is it? So I uploaded my schedule into it and saying, here's the things that I do on a regular basis. And it came back and it was like, okay, try this, this, and this, and this. And I was like, oh man. Even weirdly, it asked me about my sleep habits, right? It
okay.
was, how are you doing sleeping? And I was like, pretty good. I'm like, most nights, like, I try and get 7 hours. Sometimes I'll be awake, for times that I don't really understand. And it suggested that I started taking magnesium before bedtime for better quality sleep. Oh my goodness. Okay, I know this is not real estate investment related at all,
Well, it
but
is though, because it makes it like AI makes your life more efficient, right?
I slept so well. The next morning, I think that was a Friday night where I was like, oh, magnesium. Okay. I went to the drugstore, got the magnesium. I'm like, okay, I'll take it to bedtime kind of thing. The next morning, I slept until like Saturday morning past 9 o'clock. And that never happens. Like I couldn't buy getting past like 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning. And it was such a good night's sleep. And what's the difference? You're energized, you're alert, you're ready to go, you feel a lot more positive. So yeah, it's a pretty awesome tool. There's no doubt about it. It's more of like a crazy admin buddy at this point in time that like does it all. It's like, wow.
Right? Yeah, it's almost like my business partner says, "Oh, you're BFF." I'm like, I talk to it all day long, and it knows all different parts of me, right? So, and it does like it crosses over, and it's like, "Oh, I wasn't talking to you about that here, but okay."
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's always learning, right? I said to my wife last week, I said, the age of the experts is slowly coming to an end, right? Where, yeah, great out, like 20 years experience, all that sort of stuff. Cool. ChatGPT knows more than everyone else combined, right? It's got more resources, more expertise, more information, right? So what do I think is going to be happening? We've gone past the information age into the implementation age, and now people are able to really harness this level of information at a rate and a speed that we've never seen before. Yes, expertise happens out there and there's great experts, but the age of, these kind of one-off experts, I think is going to start to come to an end in the next few years because everyone will have expertise at their fingertips. I mean, they've got it now. It's going to get faster and faster.
No, I have seen, so caution to users, its math skills aren't that great. It can set up formulas and spreadsheets. It can set all those up correctly, but the actual mathematical calculations, it doesn't do well. So you have to double check that. So they say,
Good.
like ask it to create the Excel sheet. And then it could even put your numbers in it, but run the numbers through the Excel, not through ChatGPT.
Well, that's good to know. That's good to know.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, that's
I've
great.
seen
And
that reported twice.
I do a lot of my daily tracking, right? Just like you said, right? It's,
Hmm.
daily tracking of different things like macros, outbound calls, different things that are happening. And yeah, it all, I still self-tally it. All right. I
Yeah,
guess I'm
yeah,
old school like that, right? I'm just
yeah.
like, check it, check it, check it, check it, check it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And actually even mathematical, if I'm tracking my daily calories, fat, fiber, and protein, and it's calculating it, and I'll be like, oh, wait a minute, that, you know, didn't you say that had like so many grams of protein earlier? And so I'll ask it, and I keep a little notebook too, so I do it.
You
But
robbed me, damn it. That was 15 grams of
yeah,
protein. I need
yeah,
it.
it has more protein than that. But so yeah, double check your math. That yeah, my advice.
That's too funny. That's a
But
good one.
a whiz at setting up the programs. So
Yeah, and I'm still very much of that intermediate or beginner to intermediate level. There's some people who have gone super advanced with it, and they're just doing amazing things. So I think it's a tool that we can all embrace, learn, take it one step at a time, and then just as you said, right, community is fantastic, but also sharing these resources, right? And it was like, okay, cool, like. Even the new one, Sora. I don't know if you have
yeah,
that on your phone or not,
I
but like,
just started playing with it.
me too,
It's
me too,
hilarious.
right?
Yeah. It is hilarious.
I didn't like the way it did my face though on the side
I
angle. I was just
know, I
like, I was like,
know.
ooh, I'm like,
I'm going to redo
right.
my cameo because I don't every video that I make, I look like I'm like 300 pounds and I'm not. When it does full body, I'm like, what? Anyways, it's yeah. So for listeners out there, Sora is a AI video maker, and you
Yeah,
can
like a video
just
generator.
yeah, yeah, and you just put in a description of what you want, and it puts you in these crazy scenes that you can bring other people in and animals and crazy cats and all
It's fantastic.
yeah,
I
yeah,
just watched. I saw Alfonso and his wife. I think they
yeah.
just did one recently, right? And it was
They've
like,
done a bunch. Yeah, he was the one
have
that
they?
told me
I
about
think
it.
I saw the Winnipeg one. It was like, "Hello, Winnipeg," right? And it's got them like up on a stage, and then it shoots to the audience. They're all like,
Yeah,
"Woo, woo," right?
yeah,
So it's fun to be able to see them.
yeah.
Now we can spot the difference, but I'm like, what's going to happen in the next couple of years? I'm like, oh my
Right?
goodness, right?
Yeah,
Like, it's like
yeah. I did
were they
one that
even there?
yeah, I did one. I posted it on sort of just what I closed on it was crazy numbers. I don't know, 150 unit with 42%. No, how did it go? I don't know. It was crazy ROI and cash on cash. And I'm sitting at a desk writing papers, we're signing papers. Anyway, there was just, I've just been, I mean, I only posted it there. I've just been playing with it, have some
Oh
fun.
my goodness, that's fun. That's
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
Yeah,
Just
people are going to be calling you
crazy.
like, how did you get that deal? How
I
did you
know,
do that
I know. I
one?
didn't
Right?
post it anywhere, but
You're like,
it's just, anyways, yeah, no, that it's a fun tool, and but I mean, that's also scary too, right? That people will be able to post that crazy stuff like that
yeah,
and make it looks very realistic. So yeah, just beware, right?
yep,
Like,
yep.
yeah,
The
yeah,
lines are being blurred, right? The lines are
yeah,
being
yeah.
blurred, that's for sure, right? And every generation's got different challenges that it faces. I think ours is probably going to be like legitimacy at the end of the day, right? That's going to be one of the things that we'll continue to like be more vigilant on, which is, was this real? Was it created? Is it artificial? Is it real? And at some point in time, what is artificial and what is real? It's like, well, it's a real video, but it was an artificial idea.
I,
So are movies, right? We watch them all the time, right? We like go to the movie theater, right? Like, yeah, okay. It's like I've still got to explain to my son, right? When we're watching special effects,
yeah,
no one got hurt there, buddy. It's all just movie, as my
yeah,
dad used to say, movie magic, right? It's
yeah.
like, yeah, it but it will be kind of the next thing that you know, kind of as society will continue to face. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we've just killed an hour, Ray.
oh my goodness, that flew by.
I know.
We
Yeah.
had too much fun.
I know. I know. So, yeah, talking more about AI, but I mean, AI is such a big thing in our everyday lives. You keep hearing everywhere, if you're not using it, you're going to be left behind, right? In the next year or year and a half, if you're not embracing it and working it into your day-to-day routines, then you're going to be
well,
left behind.
Here, I'll do my best job at trying to bring it back full circle. You know, as real estate investors, right, it's not just about trends, it's about fundamentals and really understanding marketplaces. So, how can you use these tools, right? You can have it do more research for you. You can have it do more fact checking for you. You can ask it plausible scenarios in terms of what you're doing. I've even looked at properties where you want to be able to add density, right? And you'll do, a photo, like a Google map, and then be able to show it. Here's the square footage. Here's what I want to be able to do. What am I able to do? Upload the municipalities, bylaws. This
Yeah,
can do so much for you in terms of tools. So
crazy
yeah, everyone who's a
research.
real estate
Yeah,
investor out there, like use these tools and start to embrace them because it will help your business and
yeah,
just start where you're comfortable and you'll just like we all do as we grow, our comfort grows, right? We have to continue to push ourselves out of these spaces. So I would say do that, right? And then, you can even enter into it, I'll bring it back to what I do now, which is mortgages. You can even bring back to it, mortgage scenarios, right? And it's great to be able to give you insights. At a certain point in time, you're going to want to reach out and have a conversation. And if it's, with a trusted person that you're working with, fantastic. If it's someone that you're looking to be able to have a conversation with, hey, I'm sitting right here, so you can always reach out, kind of thing. But I would say now it's such a great tool to be able to help all of us with market research, data, information, all that sort of stuff. And in a way,
systems.
it just goes so much faster.
Yeah, systems, setting up systems that, you talk to it, set whatever it is, a checklist or an Excel sheet or whatever it is, that you can hand off to your how, right? Your person and so, yeah, phenomenal, phenomenal.
Right.
Yeah.
Even I'll end this really, really quickly. I know we're almost out of time right here, but a client probably about 5 months ago, they had an inspection on a property done, and I said, have you guys been able to take a look at this and cost it out? And they said, well, our contractor's away for the next couple of weeks, and then and then and then. And I said, you don't have a couple of weeks, so we simply took the inspection report on the property. I uploaded it into ChatGPT, and I said, look at this from the lens of a contractor, identify the immediates. Give me a 30, 60, 90. Give me costs. Give me 1 years, 3 years, 5 years, right? Give me all of these things, point out the items that may not have been called out. And within 5 minutes, you got a full, robust report, right? And
Wow.
you're just like, wow, that's a game changer, right? Now you go back and you negotiate strong at the table and you're like, what you didn't know was in 2 years, I'm going to have to redo the roof, right? So
Yeah,
it's,
yeah, phenomenal, phenomenal. Yeah. Because yeah, if you send it to your contractor, by the time he gets it back, the building's sold, right? By the time you go back to the table, right? Yeah.
it's done, right? It's
Yeah,
done.
yeah,
So,
yeah. You gotta jump on the bandwagon. You gotta
yeah.
learn how to fit it into your business and yeah, use its tools. I just find it just makes things so efficient. S- Time condenses time of research and yeah, everything.
Yep, it's taken away a lot of the heavy lifting and it's making it fast and it's making it simpler for us to be able to get that information. Now everyone's learning how to ask better questions and getting better results. So,
Yeah, the prompts, right? Yeah, yeah, you have to learn how to give it the proper prompts.
yep, and the more you can give it, the better it is, right? It's kind of like life. The more you put in, the better you get out of it. That's for sure.
Absolutely. And the more you use it, the more it gets to know you and like it's kind of scary how much it knows, right? But
It knows where that 15 grams of protein is that you
that's
want.
right. That's right. Anyways, thank you, Ray. We got a little off topic, but AI is such an important tool. Using it in your mortgage business. So, anybody who wants to talk to Ray about a mortgage. He is an experienced real estate investor, so he knows some of the challenges that you'll be facing. So, best way to reach out to you, Ray?
Well, I'm available. I mean, social media is an easy way. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, so you can contact me there. Super, super easy. My email is rvozza@dominionlending.ca. So easy to be able to reach out to me there. And if you found me on Facebook or on IG, just drop me a DM, right? And there's no obligation to be able to work with me. At the end of the day, I want to be able to give everyone the best knowledge, the best tools, and the best information possible. You might end up working with the bank that you're currently with. You might want to be able to make a change, but at least now you know what's going
Informed.
on. And
And
that's where you can make the best
yeah,
decisions, right? So, speak with someone that knows what's going on, everything from residential to multifamily, even privates, right? It's you just got to get the right information out there, and someone who has kind of gone down that path. I've had some great brokers. There's ones that maybe not as good. You don't want to admit, what they say is experience is a great teacher, but it's not forgiving, right? It'll cost you. And when you're starting out, you want to make sure that you can stack wins.
absolutely. And working with another real estate investor, nobody can know better what to do than another real estate investor that has experience in the
Oh,
field.
we're gonna find ways. We're gonna find so many ways. It's gonna be like,
Yeah,
how do we optimize? How do we do this? What's the next step after that, right? And it's thinking, 5 steps down the road, right? So yeah, we're gonna find ways. Guaranteed.
absolutely. It's not just closing on this house, you know, in 30 days. It's the whole plan, right?
Yeah,
Very
it's like
good.
let's architect out the whole thing and then take step one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you again so much for we're over time, but that's okay.
Oh my goodness, we got cut off.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
yeah.
Jan. I
No,
apologize.
no, 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 no. I'm I'm guilty. I could talk for another hour, but I love talking real estate investing with others. Anyways, thank you again for being on. I encourage you to reach out to Ray to be able to make more informed decision about your next mortgage. So, thank you again, and we'll see you all. Oh, any last words, Ray, before we sign off?
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Jan. It's been a pleasure. You make it just effortless and really fast and light. I want to wish everyone a really happy December. I hope you get good time with your friends, your family, and your loved ones, and enjoy celebrating, however it's most special to you.
Very nice. Okay. Thank you all, and we'll see you all on the next video.